am so proud and honored to bring to the stage Senator Bernie Sanders.
In case you haven't noticed, there are a lot of people here today. And we are here for the very important purpose of electing Liz Watson as the next congressperson from this district. So I want you to meet your next congressperson. So I don't know how many thousands of people we have here. I know that each and every one of you is going to be voting for Liz. But if we have 2,000 or 3,000 people here, if each and every one of you goes out and brings out 2 other friends or family members, that 2,000 votes for Liz can become 6,000 votes for Liz. And that's what you got to do. So you tell your friends who don't want to vote or are thinking of not voting, tell them that if they are happy with a $7.25 minimum wage, if they think that's a great idea, tell them that you think that if somebody works 40 hours a week, that person should not live in poverty, which is why Liz and I are going to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. That if they think it's okay for women to make 80 cents on the dollar compared to men, you tell them, stop complaining, come out and vote equal pay for equal work. You tell them that brave people throughout our history have fought and died to defend American democracy. And that we are not going to turn our backs on those heroes and heroines, and that the essence of democracy is citizen participation. It is voting. And for the millions of people who are struggling with outrageous levels of student debt, we're not going to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. We're going to use that money to lower student debt. We're going to use that money to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure with well-paid union labor. And you tell your friends who say, nah, I'm not going to vote, doesn't matter. You tell them that they may want to rethink that when they get sick and end up in the hospital and have a bill of $50,000 that they can't pay. You tell them that you are embarrassed, as Liz is and I am, that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a right. Now, I know that when Trump came to Indiana, he promised the people here in Indiana and all over this country that he was a different type of Republican. He was not going to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Well, I know you will all be shocked to learn. I know. He lied. I know. Hard to believe. He tells us he's a great defender of Medicare. Liar. His budget called for a $500 billion cut to Medicare and a $72 billion cut to the Social Security Disability Fund. Now, I could go on and on about his disastrous policies of tax breaks for the rich, of trying to throw 32 million people off of the health insurance that they have after he promised to provide health care to everybody. But there is another issue out there that to me is even more significant about this president and the Republican leadership. I don't have to tell anybody here today that our country, since its inception, since settlers came here, have treated minorities in a shameful manner. Going back to what we did to the Native American people. For hundreds of years, what we have seen are brave and courageous people standing up and saying, no, we are going to oppose slavery and discrimination. We are not going to allow women to be seen as second-class citizens. We are not going to be prejudiced against people in the gay community. We are not going to be religious bigots. And for hundreds of years, we struggled as a nation to try to end racism and sexism and homophobia and religious bigotry. For hundreds of years, women struggled so that they will not be second-class citizens, not be mocked, not be discriminated against, not be able to get the jobs they wanted. That has been the struggle of American democracy. And for years and years, we have been winning that struggle, becoming a less discriminatory society. And today we say to Donald Trump and his friends, we are not going backwards, we are going forwards. That in this great country of ours, we are not going to tolerate discrimination. This is a great nation, and we are proud of this nation. And that is why on November 6th, we're going to come together and elect Liz Watson as the next congressperson. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bernie. It is such a great honor that Senator Sanders has decided to come here to join us. He is here today because he knows what we know. The election in just a couple of short weeks on November 6th is the most important election of our lifetime. We're here today because we still believe in a country where we don't leave our friends and our family and our neighbors behind. We all deserve a fighting chance to get better when we get sick. We all have the right to get together with our coworkers to bargain for our fair share. We all ought to be able to go to school and get an education and build a better life without spending decades buried under a mountain of debt. And we all deserve to have a safe and financially secure and dignified retirement. You don't have a shot at the American dream if you don't have health care, if you don't have education, if you don't have a secure retirement. We have these things because of generations of courageous, hardworking men and women and dedicated people who dreamed them, struggled for them, voted for them, and won them for all of us. Men and women worked and rallied and voted because they would not give up on this country's promise, a place where we look out for each other and where we don't leave people who are sick to die on their own. Every step of the way, every single step, there were people who said, you know what? Things are fine just the way they are. Nothing could be farther from the truth, my friends. There have always been corporate special interests who tell us there's not enough to go around, who take more and more and more from us while warning that some of us just always have to be left behind. They want you to think that if you're falling behind, if you're sick and you can't pay the bills, it's your own damn fault. That's what they want you to think. They say you're on your own. I say no. I say we're all in this together and we are better than this. We are here together today, unafraid, because we believe in an America in which no one is left behind. And the truth is that even now, with the eyes of history upon us, there is nothing in this world that is more powerful than people. People who still believe that we can build a better life for each other, for our families, for our future. People who will never be bought by corporate cash. People who will not be deceived by lies and slanders and fear-mongering. People who show up, people who keep their promises, people who know that even now there is enough to go around. People who won't leave anyone to get sick and die. People like you and me and Senator Bernie Sanders. Friends, this is our time. This is our time to show Trey Hollingsworth and the corrupt Congress in Washington that there are some things that money can't buy. Not this time, not in Indiana. This is our time to stand up for ourselves, for our friends, and for our home, and for everyone who lives here. No exceptions, none. This is our time to fight for a future where no one faces a lifetime of debt just because they want a college education. No one goes bankrupt just because they got sick and wanted to get better. This is our time to stand up for our labor unions who built Southern Indiana and who built our middle class. Now is the time to knock doors and make phone calls and make some noise. Now is the time for us to do that same old shoe leather work that generations before us have done, to make life that much safer and kinder and freer for everyone who will come after us. Are you ready to fight for our future? Do we need a change in Washington, D.C.? Are you going to vote with Bernie today? Let's get to work. Let's take our place in history. Let's vote. Thank you.
Y'all give it up for Liz Watson!